welcome to Sly Media TV, and I'm your host Lizzie, and this is your favorite show. Chirongwa chamanga makamirira chamufarira, but make sure kuti muone zvirongwa zvedu, you are subscribing, liking and commenting so that murasikirwe nezvirongwa zvatinenge tichitaura. Nhasi ndine mukomana akarasikirwa nevabereki vake at grade 2. Now ave kuuniversity zvino hazvina kumumirira zvakanaka. Ari kutsvaga iye mari yefees pamwe chete nemari yeaccommodation kuti awanewo pekugara, uye haana kwaanoti kumba zvinhu zvakasunga kubva kuhama dzababa dziri kumubata zvisiririzvo. Mwana haana kwekuenda. Saka tinokumbira kuti mese muve muchine moyo wakanaka kubatsira mwana wa9. Tinani tine mukomana ane 21 years anonzi iye Tobian Zindonda. Anoda rubatsiro rwenyu semhuri yeZimbabwe. Ungatari kutiudza kuti nyaya yako iwewe Tobian yakamira sei? Ndiani wandokutaura mai akanga zvakatanga sei? Chii chakanyatsoitika kuti usvike patiri?
Alright, zita rangu ndinonzi Tobian, ndo first name yangu. Then my surname ndinonzi Zindonda, so it's Tobian Zindonda in full. So I was born in 2001, 8 April, which means I'm 21 years as of now. So unfortunately, baba wangu vakashaika 2007. Then my mother also died in 2008. So by then, I think when my father died, I was 6 years old. And when my mother died, I was 7 years old. That's 2008. But before my father died, he was someone very stable. But the unfortunate part of it is that he was married to many wives. He had about 3 wives, and my mother was the second wife. And mbamedu takazoita 3 mbamama ivangu. So I'm the only guy in my mother's family. I also have 2 sisters, one muombe, then one mudiki. But then the unfortunate part of the story started pakafa vabereki vese vari 2. So pakafa we used to stay ku Hatfield. But when he died, my father, pakazofoma mai vangu, things were so much unfortunate. Zvinhu zvese zvakamba zvangoenda pasi. By then I was still learning kunonzi kuWhitcomb Primary. And then but still learning kuWhitcomb Primary, things were not so much well, and we also had to move kubva ku Hatfield kwataigara because it's near Whitcomb Primary. Ndobva tambonogara nambuya mai vangu. But then at the same time it was also difficult for her kuti varamba vachichengeta because angari munhu anga asingashandewo as well. So at some point we had to move to Epworth. So patakanomova ku Epworth, now it's 2008. So apana munhu aripo zvekuti anokwanisa kukubatsirai mese muri vatatu vakadaro. You're actually a load kune vamwe vanhu. Takasvika time yekuti takabva tatransferiwa because there was now no transport fee yekuti tiende kuchikoro. On top of it papasitorina fees yacho. But fortunately those are the times pakauya yainzi BIM. So we used to get some funds from BIM ichitibhadharira school fees by then 3. But as time goes on, when we started staying in Epworth, it was now so much difficult for us to keep on going to Whitcomb Primary. So we had to be transferred to Chinamanu Primary School. And there things were so much difficult as well. Those days I bikwa porridge or porridge because there was no food, and there was also no money for fees when I was namari. It's the time of hyperinflation and all. So we joined a BIM organization. For some time, maybe preferably until I was in grade 6 or grade 7. So by those times now, when I go to Form 1, it was something else. Even my grade 7, I didn't perform very well. Why? Because there wasn't someone anokumirira samai. As always, even Pataikura, I really appreciate the people who stayed with me when I was young by then. But sometimes as well, you would suffer from that loneliness. You would apana muna arguita samai. You would maybe anokuti Tobian, come, sit down, let's talk, what's happening. Or even give a compliment of the best thing that you would have done. I think in most cases I've done public speaking, and I'm very much good in public speaking. And ndakaitanga ndiri grade 6 but by those times no one was there to encourage you. Taito tikaenda kuchikoro udwa kubhora ndokwataifind yatinoti solace, or I would find peace ndichitamba bhora, ndoita zvemadrama, ndoita zvespeaking. But when I was now in Form 2, I think ndopa zvakanyanyo igniter, I started realizing that I can speak as much and I can impact the world. But the unfortunate part is I do not have someone who stands in for me, who even pays the school fees for me. So what we used to do by then, my father had left a house in Waterfalls, but that house, okay, this house is not going to be sold, but this house is going to be used for rentals. So when they pay rentals, these rentals are supposed to be channeled towards fees yavana vechikoro, which means us. But unfortunately as well, my father was the father of many kids, because anga asiri mukadzi wani vanga vari vakadzi vatatu. So mari yacho yanga isingatokwane. And you also know within families, when someone has that polygamic system, it becomes so much difficult. So it was so much unfortunate for us. Why? Because atina mai vari kutimirira varipo. Mai vedu ndo vangoshaika just after our father had passed away as well. But I would appreciate Taiwan help sometimes from some of the relatives. But as time goes on, I think when I was now in Form it was now in Form 4. I kept on doing public speaking in a debate, but fees yaitwanetsa kuwana, until a time I got someone who just volunteered from UNICEF to then say, I'm seeing your talent, let me just pay school fees for you. So from that time when I was so much young, up until Form 4, even up until Form 6, my school fees or my school life was sustained from handouts. When I got, let me just pay for you, But where you have this fear of unknown, could okay, tomorrow who exactly is going to pay for me? Although it was now going to be paid, but you would incur those traumatic experiences. Unotorwara, you go through what acids, but why? Because you are just thinking, sometimes you can't even focus. Probably I would promise you, and I will tell you the honest truth, I would have performed better than the way I'm not saying I performed bad. That was it, which came out as reality, influenced by different experiences and influences as well. But at the same time, I could have done better if there was someone who was standing in for me, trying as much to cater for this stress here because of lack of school fees. But when I was now Form 5 and Form 6, I became UNICEF Child Ambassador. And I still remember one of my speech contest. The first lady was there. It was a he for she contest whereby Zwainzi was vakomana in this journey for feminism and women empowerment. What exactly can you do in order for you to help? What are your views? How exactly can we raise women from your own perspective? So I did a speech that was called She's My Sister Nelia. It was more of a recap from the experiences I had gained and the observations I had seen living with my sister. Nelia is my younger sister. So Pataira Ramatiri, I have things that I would see even from my bigger sister, even the life that my mother lived until she died just at 32, so much young. So these were all painful experiences in which ndaingofunga and to construct a speech, and I would go and speak. And some other people would say, you know what, you have a beautiful story, one day you're going to be great, but let me just help, maybe for this term or for this duration, don't go badara or so. So some of the time they want to marry from my organizations, I go and do a speech. We are so much grateful for the work that you're doing. You owe $20 and I would keep it. So even up until, I still remember I have one of my teachers, I really appreciate two of my teachers actually from my high school. One is called Maistole and one is called Maimpofo. Those are the people who stood with me and they would encourage me as much. Mama, I would call them mama because I needed that motherly love. And ndova ndaitopa mari ndikawana vainzi maimpofu ndaitwa kuti mama ndaona mari oi mari mundichengetero kana ikatokwana vobva vatondibhadharira vozondira kwaipindwa neanonzi green card tiri kuhigh school. I still remember this other day paitonzi parifanopindwa green card ndandisina kubhadhara ndanda form 5. So ndandiri prefect pachikoro. So pachikoro pedu paipfekwa black trousers, popfekwa white t-shirt ne navy blue tie yaitengwa inopenya. So then my blazers aipfekwa ngari navy blue. So I even thought of an excuse yekuti ndopinda sei ndisina get pass. There's another gate raishandiswa nematicha chete, but kwaivhurwa nevamwe gogo vangu vati kurirei. I would sacrifice to take some risks. Why? Because I needed to learn, but mari papa sina. I still remember that day ndakatoza shamwari yangu ndikati andima students anopinda nekune rimwe gate, inini ndikunopinda nekune maticha. Achitondibvunza achiti unonopinda how you were a student? Ndikati no, they made me a prefect, which means ndakupfeka black trousers. I'm no longer wearing the grey trousers. Ndandine rimwe briefcase randandinaro kumba. So I took that briefcase ndikapfeka rimwe bhachi randandinaro reblack rari resuit kumba netai yangu. So zvazvakutenga ndakapfeka suit ndobva ndatora some of my shades anga ari mumba amenoti anga ari ani, and then I had to put them on. Ndikaenda nekugate ikoko. I did that for at least 1.5 weeks. Gogo yavo vachindovhurira vachifungoti ndirani, vachifungoti ndiri teacher. Until a day randakazobatwa nevainzi maimpofu ndova ndakazoudza story yangu, and you started relating as much. Kuti saka waidi kutaura nguva yese ukwana so sometimes vachitombondibatsira vari ivo. Fortunately and unfortunately actually, pandakazopedza I passed my A level. Now my dream was to go to university, and then ndokwakanyanya kunetsa. Ku high school neku primary school unokwanisa kurarama nema short handouts iwayo, but now ku university you now require a huge amount of fees for you to be there and all. So I told myself my dream is to speak to nations. So what do? I need a particular degree program to do. I went pa Google, and then I searched my degree programs. I was an art student by then, actually the head boy of my high school. But that I need to do a degree called multicultural heritage and tourism, because I also love things to do with tourism. How do I sell my culture? How do I revive my culture? How do I make even my fellow peers to understand kuti, you know what, even as Africans we also have value within our culture, not out there, although we do appreciate that. So I then told my uncle, because ndakatora gap year, I wrote 2019 ndo pakabuda maresults angu. So 2020 I was supposed to go to university, but then unfortunately COVID came and things became so much hard. So one of my uncles is around 30s right now. I told him and I said, you know what, this is the situation I'm facing. There's an organization on the Ignite Yakangoti. We need to bring out my solutions to cater for COVID-19. I went there, I sat down with him and I said, documentaries. I can write, I can speak. What if we come up with a project and actually register ourselves in this competition? So we registered. He's much more technical and I was much more connected by then, as someone who is so much hungry, who wants to learn and who is looking for opportunities. And he said we can create something called a sanitizer dispenser. If you walk around town, you see those things. He taught me how to weld and all. Tapedza kudaro ndobva tatenda competition, and tenda mo competition koko takapinda ma finalist. The organization is founded by a lady called Zima. She actually helped a lot. So the whole of 2020 ndaishanda na uncle vangu. And then now he would pay me. So when he would pay me, I had my dream here kuti ndoda kuenda ku university and I want to attain my degree. But to him it's something that didn't make sense. Does make a sense? Why? Because Ivo Pachezavo, he's someone who had made it already at his young age, just by him using the talent that he has and the nature. Naturally, he was just talented in terms of Kadzara Simbe and all. And then for one day, so we used to discuss a lot. But you already have somewhere to work. But in my heart, it was a dream that I wanted to achieve. And I would always, I'm going to be a graduate and I'm going to impact lives and I'm going to go to university regardless of kuti andina help. And I don't even know kuti nchaiwana kupi. So as time goes on, tap nopinda 2021. Ndakabva ndano apply ku UZ, and I told him I have applied ku UZ for a degree called multicultural heritage and tourism, and my second option was philosophy. I also wanted to be a lawyer, but first of all I wanted to discover how cultures work. Could culture equakati inoshanda say, culture equakati inoshanda say, so that I could speak to cultures in relation to the things that they do, and I also familiarize with their life experiences. And when I told him, I was like, I'm not going to help you with what? With school. so pakanokwana patakanonovhura tama part 1 we went for orientation. I just took my bags ndikaenda kuUZ. Why? Because I knew giving me transport vaisazotombondipa. So I told him I'm not going kuchikoro. So I know it's okay say and ndobva ndaenda kuchikoro. I met a friend yaindibatsira ainzi Tanaka. So we used to stay in Tanaka and this other guy in the Tinashe. Vachingoti, guys, you know what, it's illegal, but this is the option which is there. So mumwe aidyawo ku-DH neidya Tanaka makuseni, mumwe odya masikati, mumwe odya manheru. That was the lifestyle for my part 1 first semester. Tisataenda semester break, that is from December to January for that particular holiday. So tichizonovhara, that's the time yakanyanyooma zvinhu. Why? Because to my uncle it seemed as if now I was a liability. I'm no longer bringing anything in the room and kushanda and all. But for speaking, if I get an opportunity to speak, I would speak as much. So I don't feel out there is a tense atmosphere here. So vakati, you know what, when it comes to your speaking engagements, you're so much passionate about them. But kana dziri nyaya dzebasa auskuisa effort and auchatode kushanda nekuti wakuenda kuchikoro chichichi. Saka zvakataura zvakawanda. I actually went through a depression mode by then, but it was always my dream yekuti, you know what, I really want to go to school, and by all means necessary, if I can actually get help, that would actually give me a particular level in life in which I can impact lives. So to him vakazongondiperekedza takunovhura for the second half of the semester. When you're done, don't come back to school, just find somewhere to go. And by then I was 20. I was almost 20 by then. So ndakangoenda kuchikoro with my bags. I still remember Tanaka asati auya kuchikoro, so I had to sleep in one of the common rooms. And when I slept there, I waited for Tanaka to come. When he came, I explained to him. I was like, no, it's okay. The same way we lived, we sustained ourselves before this second half of the semester, we can actually continue with that, and God will give us the grace to continue. And we also continued. We would pray as much, just asking God, okay, God, tell us our purpose in life. Why are we going through this? And where exactly are we going to get help? I still remember I volunteered from various organizations. Another one is called FAZ in Nigeria. I was trying as much to make myself present so that even when scholarship funds are available, they appreciate my work and then they get to give me something. So I would get a lot of promises, but nothing would actually come on desk, and it was so much disappointing. But just because you know of the things which are ahead of you, you cannot give up, neither for yourself or even for the people you're going to meet within the future. So I kept on persisting until a time when we closed to school. I dreamt for schools not to be closed because I didn't have anywhere to go. But fortunately enough, Tanaka had to say, you know what, let's go kumba kwedu. So for that holiday I stayed with him. That's my holiday of part 1. Then now part 2, coming back to school. The second semester of part 1, I had to come with my bags again because kumbako Tanaka waitonetsekawo. So I'm just going because I never paid for accommodation fee. The money I had paid for the first semester, but for the second semester so it's just the act of faith. And then I had to talk to one of my professors. My professors connected me to another professor who seemed to be a very, very prayerful man. And then the professor just said, you know what, for this semester I'm paying for you, I'll give you something for that semester. And then Tanovara, but that semester Tanaka could not stay in campus because anga sino mari for accommodation fee. So I had to look for another friend, Terence, and Terence helped me a lot. Would eat maputi, nothing to eat, and then I'm gonna call up to mama, I need chakat. You would cry hearing Vano, I'm now going home, the phone rona mama. Weekend, yes, the school is very much silent, but iwewe ungori popa chikoro, not kutune room yako, but you are just there to accommodate one. And I do appreciate the people who actually help me. And then with time, semester. Now I no longer know where to go because Kwana Tanaka was in Zakaoma and Kwana Terence I cannot go. At my church I had to talk to my pastor. This is the situation that I have. I still need help, and if I don't get help, I don't know where exactly I'm going to get help. So he ordained someone, he delegated someone to help me. Kuda Garenen for that holiday. That is the holiday he ended up the semester in. and that's the holiday and Twitter is nosy. And that person actually, when I was done with my school by that time, you know what, you can actually come home and stay. And that's where I'm staying as of now, which means as I open, I will also have to go back to UZ. And as I go back to UZ, I don't know kuti ndinonogara pai and all. Last semester I remember I still remember there is one of the WhatsApp groups chinzi the squatter of the semester. So munoisanga kutozeti Ethiopian is the squatter of the what? Of the semester. Even quite me now officialized squatter. Why? Because everyone knows your story, and it's so much difficult when you're in that environment where there is different kind of classes. You don't really feel welcomed there. Why? Because instead of focusing on school, you also have a backlog of problems in which you're supposed to focus on, try to consume, try to digest, and try to forget. But as Kanganwike, until a time I had to be called by the Department of Philosophy to then say, Ethiopian, you're one of the best students in our faculties, but then your grades are going down, tell us what's happening. And I had to open up as much, because this is the situation I'm facing. Because by then, system yekuti ndikanzi uyautera kwakati uyashanda kwakati, I have to go, I have to multitask for me to get mari, not mari yekuti ndibhadhara fees or mari yekuti ndibhadhara accommodation, mari yekuti ndidye. Because if you are squatting now and you don't have money, you're supposed to look for money yekuti udye, because no one is going to give you money. Munhu wauri kutogarawo naye apiwawo. I also stayed with a friend ainzi Tanaka. He's one of the friends wandokura naye tichingonamata, God provide something for us, and I also do appreciate those people. So that's the current situation I have as of now. Ndakazomboti Sunday during the last holiday. So my fees edu, it was 51,000 when we opened for the semester. Tichino opener for the semester, ndobva ndabhadhara 51,088 within our faculty. So I managed to pay for that. But then pane time yekuti my fees akazonokwira. So my fees achizonokwira. Right now I think subtracting that amount of money with the money I'm left with, if we convert it to USD right now, that squared year last semester, I think it amounts to something like 255 USD yandinayo, plus the amount for this semester and I've results actually came out, I think it's last week, but one. Most of the people actually have not access, including me. My results are why? Because teenage credit, I'm not just saying badara, which means as I go to this semester, I can actually not do anything. This now badara mari. On top of it, this now to badara a semester yacho. Forget about the accommodation fee. Just fees on its own. It's something to I don't even know having this dream that I have to speak to nations, to impact nations, to become a diplomat, and even to become a United Nations delegate representing my own nation and also representing Africa as a whole. It's something that stays as a dream if you do not have anyone to assist you around, or if you do not have someone who then say, you know what, let's just get to assist this kid. So I think that is the brief of my story. And as we go, I don't know, but one thing I'm looking forward to, if there are people out there, to every Zimbabwean or even beyond the borders of Zimbabwe, I'm just a young man who has a big dream, and I really want this dream to come true. If my mother is not there to witness, at least Zimbabweans will be there to witness, and even people beyond Zimbabwe will be there to witness. If there is a mother out there, if there is a father out there who really feels, or someone who was once an orphan, who really feels how painful it is not to have someone you call mom, not to have someone who calls you and then say, wazitire, sometimes to be shouted at, it's not right. There's someone I was actually telling, you know what, appreciate kutotukwa, because some of us never got to experience this, especially from the time that taifunga kuti tinozvowana, we never got to get this. Mashoko anonga uchingowana mashoko anorwadza kuti baba wako hatinge chakati kwazinyengere makuva. Those are some of the words ekutaka nokugara apa. It's something chekuti you even fear kuti, okay, what if I make it but my emotional stability is no longer well, or ndazodi. So it's something chinotokwadza zvotodaro. I still remember when I was in Form 6, I was actually admitted because of my acids. It all went back to that. My two sisters, and now one of Muombe wacho akatoita zvekutiza kumba kwataigara in Epworth with my stepmom, the first wife of my father, because things are so much difficult. Akatiza ari form 2, went to become a housemaid. And by then Maria Itambira, I think it was something like $70. I had to draft a book which I'll have to compile and publish, and once the $70 housemaid, it's only for her, dedicated for the life experience yakafesa. And even my sister, she's 17, the little one. Unfortunately, it was my dream not to lose her, and I would tell myself when my mother died, kuti every experience or every problem that these guys will face, I have to be there for them. But I felt wakambofila kuti ndinenge ndanonoka as the only man who is in the family. At 17, she then eloped to someone who is something like 19 years and plus of her years, her age year wacho muhombe muno wakaenda kwari, and try to convince her as of now as to make her sense, because all along she didn't have exposure, she didn't have love, and this man comes in, does what he does, and all the hope is now on that man. So iwewe wacho, even if you try to come to her and tell her it doesn't necessarily work. So I believe as much, for me to get to tackle all these problems, first things first, I need to attain my degree, and that's one thing I'm looking forward to. The Zimbabweans out there, everyone who is out there, if you just think maybe I can assist with fees, maybe I can assist probably with accommodation or so, and the most important thing which I actually need is the exposure. With my degree that I'm doing, if there is someone who can then say, you know what, I'm offering you a job for you to work, because yes, I can sustain myself, I can live through handouts, but there is a time I go to my handouts, I know opera. Now I need to sustain myself, which means I need more experience, more than kungopiwa zwino. So if also there is a person out there who then say, you know what, we can actually give you a job, washanda up, pay for your school fees, sustain yourself in this way, I also appreciate that, because I'm becoming a man, I'm not growing young, I'm growing old. So I think that's the most of it when it comes to my story. But I hope if there is someone out there, anongofilawo nemweya waMwari kuti toda kubatsira mwana wangu, I'm here. It took much to open up, but I had to do so because there is no other way. And I think just after opening up like this, even though we are struggling as much as a nation, even though but I think God will open doors for me through everyone who is out there. I think that's my whole life story. Okay. When it comes to my relatives now, I think the problem is it's one thing that I also learned, that by all means necessary I have to try not to have more than one wife, because it creates a lot of problems. So what then happened is my grandfather also was a polygamist, very polygamist kudaro. He had a lot of wives, so our family became so much big, and even my father's family became so much big but broken. Why? Because there were a lot of conflicts, a lot of controversies there. You know, munhu akazongofa, even vana vake vasati vakura, then mai vedu obva vanoshaika. Zvinosimudza miromo yakawandisa, and kune miromo yaibudawo zveshuwa yakawandisa kuti zvinhu zvacho taivanzirwa tiri vadiki, but you would actually see nema-actions evanhu kuti pane zvinhu zvatisiri kuudzwa. I did not know much about my mother's family. Why? Because from my father's family you would be told family yamai vako inge ikashata zvakati, and because you are a kid, everything that comes to you is true, especially if it's coming from someone who is older than you. It's an abomination. It's an abomination for you to say kunyepa nemunhu mukuru. So everything that you are told, as long as that person is older than you, it is true. That is the tradition that we were taught as African children. But then as time goes on, manje uzoona kuti awo ndo hama vamwe vacho ndakazovaona paFacebook. I still remember there is one of my nini ndakaona paFacebook. She's in SA right now. She was like, you know what, ndikakwanisa ndichazouya and ndokuona and so when we could they are also happy to then to start finding something about me as of now. I'm starting to engage with them as of now. So I was actually on a quest to look for my mother's relatives, number one. And I was also on a quest to look for some of my father's relatives. I still remember per holiday the people I'm staying with vano kubva kuwedza and ndokumusha kwedu. And then they were like, you know what, ande kuwedza, we went kuwedza. I say this is my father's lands. This is my father's land. I actually come from Weza, but I deserved in the Kope. One of the aunties just asked me, she was like, you know what, and I felt so much good. I felt so much that sense of belonging which was no longer there. Ndakambosvika patime yekuti kuchikoro waitokabvunzwa address kuti unogara kupi, or wanting to write an application letter unoshaura kuti ndonyora kuti chii. Most of my application letters anonyorwa address yepa usage because I cannot say kuti ndinogara kwakati because akuna kwacho kwekutonzi unogara ukatosangana nemunhu handshake, so where do you stay, you now start to stammer because auna kwaunta sei kwaunoti unogara. So my conflicts iwaya ainyanya zvekuti if you try as much to be involved or even to question kuti koninga ari kupi, koninga akazodaiswa iwe uri mwana mudiki kufamily, zvaisimudza mimwe mitauro yakawanda zvekuti iwewo wacho semwana waizotanga kuziviswa zvinhu maybe zvako usingatofaniri kuve exposed to, and then you get to go through another traumatic stress as well. Saka my family is there, but it's really broken. Most of them are in Towazie. My grandfather used to stay in Kenya. My father was born in Zambia. My mother was born in Malawi. Because of church, because my grandfather was a church person, even my father was a church person. They were leading a particular a religious sect. So the family is just scattered out there. But to be honest, the family is really broken. And it's another dream that I have, that maybe if I manage to get my degree, if I manage to attain the things I'm looking forward to attain, if I become so much wealthy, if it's not for me, if it's not for everyone out there, let it be for this family. Because sometimes I think stability is one of the distinctive line of unity. Kana patterns uyanenga are stable, they come and they become stable as well. Vo unite zvakatadzirana zvinoregererana after someone amboita stable. These are some of the researches that I've been finding as well. So the family is there, but it's really broken.
Official squad. I think I'm done.
Yeah, kunzo official squad. I think pandakatanga kuzvinzwa mamurimo kwakuri kuadmin wakamboita zvaya zvekuti wanoshare nemunhu that this is the situation yandiri kusangana nayo. So the next day pauri kunosangana nevamwe vanhu obva watonzonzi unonzani, ndonzi Tobian, ndiwe the officialized squatter. How it gets down to you zvimwe zvekuti because by use it they know me as a speaker. If you motivate others, the most difficult thing is for those people to see you cry. It's an abomination for them to see you cry. You can't cry in front of those people. Zvangufana baba vanoya vachichema, uvichi vanhu vari kuchema because baba vari kuti ndashaya mari yekuti nditenge chingwa vatanga kuchema. What about the kids? I'm not putting myself on a high profile, but I'm relating to the things or to the services I would offer unto the people when they came to me. Wakutonzi officialized squat. By then ndaitofunga kuti kuseka. But then chakazonyanyendirwadza ndechekuti there's this other day mutori mugroup I think ndere hostel randaigara. So people vanopedzera vakunyatsoziana kuti anogara murume yakati, anogara murume yakati, anogara murume yakati. So we did a discussion group. It was a very controversial discussion. Because there is this other project in which I was leading. It became so much successful, teaching on my prizes and all from the admin. But I was just hosting that as a speaker. And it was just voluntary work. Because at school we do voluntary work as well. Tichipedza kudaro, so mnongoziya sevana kuti sometimes munombofarisa kuyo wakaiteiko zvakati wakazviitirei chichichichi. Saka pane pamwe this other person pakazitaranza Tobian tokuziyai ndimi makatotora award resquat of the semester. Kana panga paine munhu asingazivi totozviziya kana ungosvingoti hatiziye kuti ungochitosquata semester rese and tokutoziziva kuti uri kubatsirwa naningi. So zvinhu zvokuti ndakangonotarisa message so and zvakaita kuti ndifunge zvakawanda. You know, chinhu chekuti unofunga kumashure kweso kubva anamai vako vachishaya kubva vachiita sei. I think another story ndandisinotaurire kuti when I was 7 pakanofa mai, I stayed with another uncle as well. Mukadzi wavo, I was not used to the environment. I still remember urinating padhuze nedoor airport because imba yacho imba, then toilet inenge iri kure anga ari mumba. She just came from work. Vakangonditi, you know what, mangwana, pick your bags uende kwambuya wako kumbari. That's about 15 to 16 kilometers, about 45 minutes drive uchishandisa mota. She never gave me bus fare. Ndakatongotora bag rangu. I still remember my 2 sisters crying, and then I went. That was my first time. So this one with my other uncle is the second time getting into the streets. The first one is when I was 7 years old. That is 2008. And I went with my bag, I started loving Manchester United. I'm a Manchester United fan. Why? It's not because I'm a SRP supporter, but it's mainly because I have an experience, a lifetime and role to take. I used to feel so much happy until I was picked out of the streets with my half brothers vana vemukadzi wekutanga wababa wangu. Chichakaitika ndakangodzingwa ndakanzenda kwambuya wako, so handeikomba. That's how I got to stay with my stepmom up until a time andakabvako because zvinhu zvakunetsa futi, probably when I was form 4 or so. This other foster mom andakanogarawo navo vakandibatsira by then. So yes, kunzi officialized squatter zvinhu zvakandowadza to an extent yekuti ndakatotanga kufunga kuti so my whole life I've been a squatter. That has been my whole life. Wababa chienda, it has been my life, and something chekuti I'm wishing kuti it comes to an end very fast. But the way it comes to an end, it only takes 1 or 2 people out there. You know what? Let's get to help this child. Let's get to help this child.
So, uchidropa maconduct ako so that
so my contact details are my WhatsApp number and line of transition from my course. It's 078 657 9814. 078 657 9814. Then Facebook and Toshan's account in Tobian Zindonda. I also have a Facebook page on Tobian the Speaker. Also by Twitter, I have a Facebook page on the Tobian the Speaker of Nations. And also that's my IG handle, and it's Tobian the Speaker of Nations.
Okay, I think yeah.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Thank you.
Yes, this is Sly Media TV, and I'm your host Lizzie Shamazuwa Ese, and we give thanks to our technical team behind the scenes. Changati naye mukomana Tobian Zindonda mamunzwa achitaura said story yake, anoda rubatsiro mwana kuti adzokere kuchikoro like he said ari kuvhura this Feb and hahana pekutangira. Haangarambe mwana achigara panze, achigara marooms asiri ake achitsvaga chikafu zvekutsanzvadzira. Mwana ngaarambe ari kuchikoro. He has a dream. Until we meet next time, it's a goodbye for now.